So what we're going to do today is take a look at some of the interesting numbers about Tom Brady's career and see how they reflect on his current numbers to see at what level Tom Brady is playing at this season on a scale of course, Tom Brady, because compared to any other quarterback, he's playing pretty good. But let's see where Tom Brady is at on Tom Brady's own scale from 20 years of Tom Brady quarterback history. And we can also use these numbers to have some interesting predictions on the season. Now, how do we evaluate TB12 on a scale of TB12? Well, let's start with a floor and a ceiling. We get the floor by taking his first 7 games from his worst season in 2003 and by taking his first 7 games from his best season in 2007 in order to get a floor and a ceiling, with 2003 being the floor and 2007 being obviously the ceiling. So these numbers are pretty interesting because even in Tom Brady's floor, he still has a 78 rate. He has a positive touchdown to interception ratio, 1,500, almost 1,500 yards, and 60% completion rate, which is average starting quarterback numbers. Like this is not a stat line you wouldn't be shocked to see come out of a decent starter to a low-level guy. Very interesting floor there for Tom Brady. Let's look at his ceiling, and his ceiling is just ridiculous. In 2007, this man had a 137.9 rate, a 27-2 through 7 games, 27-2 touchdown to interception ratio. If that doesn't say how insane Tom Brady was in 2007, I don't know what does. And he put up over 2,000 yards on 74% completion. That is absolutely insane. That's crazy numbers. Now let's look at his career average. And this was done by taking his first 7 games throughout his entire career and averaging these numbers into what we have here. He has a 98 rate, a 14-4 touchdown interception ratio, 1,895 yards on 65% completion, which is GOAT stuff. Pretty good stuff right there for Tom Brady throughout his career. Now, we'll take that number to average and see where he lines up in 2019, which is slightly below average. 94.8 rate, 11-4 touchdown interception ratio, and just about 8 yards under 2,000 yards with 66% completion. So Tom Brady is not playing better than the average for Tom Brady. He's slightly below average, but he's nowhere near his floor. So if there is a cliff for Tom Brady's play to fall off of, it is a year or two down the road. And it certainly does not look like it's happening this season, although age would show itself as the season goes on, but I really don't anticipate that. While Tom Brady may not be in his prime anymore, he's putting up close to prime Tom Brady numbers, just not as gaudy as some of those numbers used to be, which could be attributed to his lack of pieces on offense. So we'll see what happens now that he has Mohamed Sanu. Either way, the conclusion to looking at this man's floor and his ceiling and his career average and how he's doing as a 40-plus-year-old man in the NFL, Tom Brady's a GOAT. He is the greatest of all time. There's no doubting that. So now, while we all collectively looked at those stats and collectively gushed at how great and consistent Tom Brady has been for over 2 decades, because his numbers for 2019 are really good, top of the league, and they're somehow below average for Tom Brady, which is crazy. But if we dig deeper, we can start to see where age is affecting his game the most. The first place you will look at to see if age is affecting somebody's game is their stamina. Can they be that guy for longer periods of time? And what my first instinct was to see if his stamina is holding up is to look at his fourth quarter splits this year and compare him to his career fourth quarter average. Now, his career average through a projected 7 games, so the absolute most average version of Tom Brady played 7 games in the season. Statistically, he would round up with a 94.7 rate, 62% completion rate, 406 yards with 3 touchdowns and 1 interception in the fourth quarter, which is pretty good. Pretty good numbers there. In 2019, though, his numbers are slightly above average, less yards, but above average, 100.9 rate, 63% completion, 261 yards, and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So while there's a significant drop in the passing yards, the raw production, there is more efficiency slightly, and he has not turned the ball over. Also. So it's kind of a mixed bag there with that number, and there's nothing really conclusive you can take from just looking at his fourth quarter stats. So that made me dig a little bit deeper to find out where is his age showing, because his age has to show. Father Time is undefeated. And then I saw some splits for 2019 that are very interesting and that are easily attributed to age. And I don't see what else they could be attributed to, honestly. And that is, again, his quarter splits for 2019. And the reason I say that is because in his quarter splits this year, there is a significant trend that can't be ignored. And that is that Tom Brady is not just slightly better in the first and third quarter after he's had a break. He is significantly better in the first and third quarter than he is in the second and fourth quarter. Now, still the numbers he puts up in the second and fourth quarter are good numbers, but there is a significant drop off from how good Tom Brady is in the first and third quarter after halftime and at the beginning of a game than he is when he would be more tired in the second and fourth quarter. Because in the first and third quarter of 2019, when Tom Brady is the most well-rested, he's either beginning the game or coming out of halftime, his numbers are the classic Tom Brady numbers. You got 71% completion. You got 1,200 yards, on 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on 104 rate. But in the second and fourth quarter, where his stamina would be tested, it's where his age shows. Now, again, it's not like he turns into a completely different quarterback. It's not like he's a bad quarterback. He's just a much less efficient version of himself. He is throwing 10% lower, 61% completion percentage, significantly less yards with 787, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's still Tom Brady, but with a 89 rate. Now, first, second, third, fourth quarter, this guy's still Tom Brady, but there is a significant drop-off from what he is when he's the most well-rested from when he is not. But I couldn't just say that that number tells the whole story. I had to think about variables in this. Like, could there be other things that are influencing that number other than age? Could this just be a normal thing for Tom Brady's career? I mean, he has had the best coach of all time in his career for his entire career. So maybe the first and third quarter splits are more due to Bill Belichick having a script out. And, you know, this is just something that traditionally happens with Bill and Tom. So I looked at his career quarter splits, and he's remarkably consistent throughout 4 quarters. He is always the same 66 to 65% completion percentage Tom Brady throughout his career, which means that these drop-offs in the later parts of the game, or the later rested parts in the game, the second and fourth quarter, are significant and do have a logical pathway to be attributed to Tom Brady's age. Now, again, this doesn't mean that Tom Brady's about to fall off a cliff anytime soon. Again, I still think he has 2 to 3 years left, including this season. But it does seem that the signs are there. And if I see them, Bill does. And this may be why we're hearing all of this noise about Tom Brady leaving New England, is because Bill Belichick sees some of the decline coming slightly. It hasn't affected the play on the field yet significantly, but there is a drop-off coming. You can see it by the way his numbers kind of split through quarters, and Tom Brady's probably aware of that, and he probably wants to beat Bill to the punch. And if he's going to beat Bill to the punch and still be able to be a good quarterback, he has only a year or 2 to do it. This would be the right year to get out of there so he can prove to Bill that he's not falling off a cliff, or so he can not have his career at the hands of Bill Belichick. That makes a lot of sense when you look at those splits. Now, this number got me thinking about the future of this season, not Tom Brady's future for the rest of his career, but this season. Because if he's playing below average, then, well, what does that mean for the Pats? Does it mean they won't make the Super Bowl? Do the Patriots only make the Super Bowl when Tom Brady's playing insane, or do they make it when he's not? This scratched a little bit of a part of my head, so I want to cut those numbers up. So I took Tom Brady's career stats and put them into 4 piles. Now, one note is that the only seasons with 12 or more starts are included, so There are some seasons that are left out because he did not play a full complement of games. Now, those 4 piles that I separated the Tom Brady stats into, there is the Tom Brady Super Bowl winning seasons, which there are 6. Tom Brady Super Bowl losing seasons, which there are 3. Non-Super Bowl appearance seasons, which there are 8. And so, yes, that means that Tom Brady has been to the Super Bowl when he started a full season for 9 times, and he's not been in the Super Bowl 8. He has a higher Super Bowl to non-Super Bowl average in his career. This dude is wow. I took all of his completed seasons in those piles and I averaged them into per game numbers and I multiplied them by 7 to get the average through 7 games. In seasons where Tom Brady wins a Super Bowl, his numbers through 7 games on average are 6 wins to 1 loss, 62% completion, 1,700 yards, 12 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Now, in years where Tom Brady loses the Super Bowl, he would have the same 6-1 win-loss record, but he would have a 67% completion percentage with 2,100 yards and 18 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Now, part of this is because it's a 3-game sample size and, 3-season sample size, and one of those seasons is 2007, where, again, he won video game. But in general, the 2 seasons I believe Tom Brady won the MVP, I don't think he won the Super Bowl that same year. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's accurate. So there might be something to that. And then in non-Super Bowl seasons, where Tom Brady obviously does not qualify for the Super Bowl, his teams are 5-2. Wow, it's just awful. Has 63% completion rate, 1,800 yards, 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So what does this tell you? One, Tom Brady has been remarkably consistent throughout his career. And also that, this is probably going to be a season where Tom Brady makes a Super Bowl. If his record's above 6-1 by the 8th week of the season, he's probably going to make the Super Bowl. It's more than likely Tom Brady is going to make the Super Bowl, which is insane. But yeah, get ready for that. Spoiler warning. Tom Brady's probably going to make the Super Bowl. But it's also interesting to see that the years where he's less statistically brilliant, he seems to not end up with the ring. Now, part of me thinks that's actually sound logic because the less you have to rely on your quarterback to produce and you can put the load on your defense or your running back, it leads to a certain level. It would lead to a certain level of consistency that leads itself to win more games. Now, isn't that a thought every team out there that does not think running the ball is a priority? But, the Patriots seem to have that figured out, and a lot of teams don't. So why did I do this? Why did I pour myself through all of Tom Brady's stats to tell you what you already know? That Tom Brady is great. He's still playing great, and he's probably got a couple years left of being great, and he's going to make the Super Bowl. It is because sometimes we just say that players are the greatest of all time without really evaluating it. We give a lot of titles to a lot of players without really evaluating whether they're worthy of it. So I decided to put Tom Brady through that ringer and evaluate, is he actually statistically worthy of being the GOAT? And the answer is unanimously and undoubtedly yes. This is the most consistent stat profile from a quarterback. This is the most impressive stat profile from a quarterback over multitudes of years. There's not been a lot of down seasons in Tom Brady post 2004. And even his down seasons aren't that bad. I think he won the Super Bowl in one of his down seasons. This video is just kind of an appreciation for Tom Brady. He's the greatest of all time. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching this video. If you like what I do here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload, and I do upload a lot. But thank you guys for buying merch. Thank you guys for joining the Patreon. Again, if you want to join the Patreon, links down below. You have your name added to the little bar that pops up from here now on these videos. But again, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.